of today, which is the project management session. And our trainer for today, we have him in the room already. We have Olutayo Oshi. Mr. Olutayo, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Okay, good
Yes, we
afternoon,
can
sir.
hear you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Olutayo Oshi will be taking us on project management, which should be the final session of today's class. And then the project management class will be considering monitoring, controlling, and closing. So, Mr. Olutayo, the floor is all yours.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. I say a big welcome to you, and I believe you've enjoyed the other session so far, and I gladly welcome you to the project management session. And today we'll be talking on monitoring and controlling and closing a project. Kindly permit me to share my screen, please. Just a moment, please. Moment, please. Can you see my screen? Hello, can you see my screen, please?
Not yet, sir.
Okay, can you see my screen like this?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, okay, all right. Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you very much. As you can see, we have here mastering project success. And I know this is like the fourth session, so you've dealt with some other focus areas. So today we'll be looking at monitoring, controlling, and closing, like I said earlier. Okay. And at the end of this session, I believe that we should have a deep insight into what monitoring, controlling, and closing a project is all about. Let's just quickly, before we go deep, a lot of people think project management is just about starting and planning, but a great plan is only as good as how you handle the twists, the turns, and the final destination. So the truth is, we have so many things that go on when you start a project. So I want us to just have an overview of what these concepts are all about. So let's just quickly look at what monitoring. I believe these are words we use in our everyday lives. Monitoring, we talk about this a lot. So monitoring is a continuous process of observing, measuring, and assessing projects performance against the project management plan. And the primary purpose of monitoring is to answer important questions such as, are we on schedule? Are we within budget? Is the quality acceptable as planned? And the risks, are they increasing or are they okay? Are stakeholders satisfied? And above all, are project benefits still achievable? So monitoring involves collecting project data and converting it into useful performance information that supports decision making. While controlling, on the other hand, one is a starting point, one is the end point. Controlling is a process of taking action based on the information obtained during monitoring. Whenever monitoring reviews deviations from the project plan, the project manager evaluates the situation and determines the most appropriate response. And control activities may include corrective actions, preventive actions, defect repairs, and what have you. I just want us to have an overview of what the monitoring and controlling, is all about. Is there someone here that wants to add or subtract to what I've said so far? Any addition or subtraction? Because I believe we have idea on this. Okay, if there's none, let's just quickly move on. This is where good ideas actually become great outcomes. Let's move to the next slide, the project journey. And I believe that we've done initiating, planning, executing. Those are the three other focus areas. Now we are at the phase 4 and phase 5. And every project life cycle moves through 5 distinct phases that are stated here. And I believe we've done the heavy work. We've dealt with about the first, second, and third. Now we're on the phase 4 and 5. And this is the most critical part because it ensures that all that hard work does not go to waste. You know, you've done a lot, especially initiating, planning, and executing. So this is an aspect that if you don't take serious, it can actually make all that you've done go into waste. Like, let me just chip this in. How many of you have seen a building project that started with so much excitement but was never completed? So you might be forced to ask yourself, a project does not fail because planning was poor. We are very, very good when it comes to planning. We can plan beautifully, but where does the problem come, comes from? Many projects fail because nobody checks progress properly. Problems are discovered too late. Costs are not controlled. Stakeholders lose interest because of certain factors that they've seen. The project is never formally completed. So today's lesson will focus on preventing this. If we look at a national project like the Ajaokuta Steel Complex, it has consumed billions of dollars over decades, but it has not achieved any operational capacity. It has not done anything. So you can imagine what went wrong. If we start to dig deep, we will see that it's this monitoring and controlling that actually was missing that led to the problem. I want to believe so. Okay, let's move to the next slide. You can see here we have where monitoring and controlling and closing sits in PMBOK. PMBOK is a guide, the project management guide, and the eighth version actually came about this. And they simplified things into a beautifully organized grid. We have 5 focus areas, like I said earlier, that tells us when. The keyword here is when work happens across the timeline. You can see the upper part tells us when across the 7 performance domain that we have below here. They tell us what project managers actually should focus on, what a project manager should focus on. Yes, you've planned, you've executed, so you need to focus on these 7 performance domains if you want to successfully monitor and control a project properly. So I want us to look into this. Okay, I would like to break it down so we have proper understanding. We can see the monitoring and control activity across the 7 domains. Can you still hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, all right, all right, all right, all right. Thank you so much. Okay, we can see here at the governance level, it provides the rules and the steering. They have the authority to make things happen in terms of enforcement and the necessary support needed. Let's look at you want to build probably your house in Lagos State. There's no way that you just want to build and you start. No, you have to go through Lagos State, you have to go through LAPSCA, you have to seek approval. That is governance. Because you can start and along the line they come and demolish all your what you've built and your efforts wasted. So governance is those that set the rules. Okay, and let's quickly move to scope. I'm using building. I will still use something personal to explain so we understand better. Scope means what exactly are you building? Example, Lagos State approves that you build a 20 classroom on an expansive land. And along the line, mid project, someone just looked like, this land is too big. Let's build a sport complex or a sports center with football pitch. And along the line, another person comes, let's add hostel to it so that it will make sense and we can make more money. But on the other side, on the flip side, suddenly your budget will double and also your timeline will double because you've added to the scope. And this is what we call scope creep. what you did not plan initially, what was not approved that you decide to add. There is possibility of you wanting to add this, but there's a procedure to follow that leads us to change management. But this, the way I explained, is what is called a scope creep. And there's no way that this will not affect your schedule. It will affect your timeline. Project that is meant to finish 2024 will extend to 2026. And also, it will have chain reaction. The cement you buy in 2024 is not the same amount you buy in 2026. That means your cost will increase. It will skyrocket. And at the long run, it will affect the budget. It will affect your finances, the project finance, and it will become a problem. And your stakeholder will be looking at you like, are you serious? You know, you know who your stakeholders are. So that might also become a problem. And this is why some stakeholders might actually lose interest, you know. And also, you look at the fact that it's bring additional risks that probably you did not even envisage because you brought new stuff to the project, and I can bet you that new risks will emerge. Definitely, it will definitely emerge. Let me use a wedding project. A wedding is a project. Okay. A man probably decides to finalize or want to marry his girlfriend. Governance is the man telling his own parent for seeking approval, going to the bride's family to seek approval. That is the governance. And the scope is probably the man and the woman they've met. What we want to do is court wedding registry, and after that, maybe just traditional, and we seal it up. That is the scope. Okay. And probably when the okay, let me still just explain. You've set your scope, you've picked your schedule. Probably you want the wedding mid-year, okay, and you budgeted 3 million, and your stakeholders, your families, your friends, your vendors, the event center that you want to use, those are your stakeholders. And you've probably thought of the risks. Okay, the place you probably the period you've thought about. Okay, this period things probably is always probably there's always peace relatively around that time. Probably rain will not fall, the finances and all that. So let's just look at the fact that probably when you got to the bride's family, and the father insisted that no, he wants his daughter to have a white wedding, and you accepted. That is a scope creep, because you've agreed initially that this you want court wedding and this. So, and there's no way that you're adding that you will take or you have to probably get an event center, get a reception, something you've not planned. It will affect your finances. And also trying to get an event center, you need to book ahead. It might also affect your schedule. Probably June that you're looking at, probably those are the busiest period for event center. They will tell you probably you can get a space, or the available ones are extremely expensive. These are things that can actually affect your project. So you need to monitor and control at every point of this 7 performance domain, from governance down to risks. You need to monitor it. Yes. I hope that is understood.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Okay. All right. Any addition, any subtraction? Should I move on? Okay. Because of time, let's move to the next slide. Okay. We can see here that think of monitoring and controlling as your project GPS system. When you drive, you just don't look at the map once and close your eyes. No, you don't do that. You track your progress. You review performance and compare where you are to the original destination that you intend going. And if you take a wrong turn or hit traffic, the GPS will help you to steer right back to your target before it turns to a total crisis that you end up driving in serious traffic, and that is your time wasted. Okay. Okay, let's look at the core activities. And let me quickly just chip this in. As a project manager, you need to embrace technology, especially AI technology. It is up in our face. Like this slide that I'm using, it was actually created by Gamma. I don't know if you are aware of that. You can create your slides and you can do a whole lot. Along the line, you will still probably access or use an AI to explain one or two things. Okay, let's look at the core activities. The core pillars that form the heartbeat of project managers day. They you have to track your progress. You constantly check your actual work against the calendar, your timeline, because change is inevitable. You can actually set a timeline, but there's every possibility that there are so many factors that will mitigate you from meeting that timeline. So you need to track your progress. And also, you have to review costs, keeping a close eye on your spending so that you don't run dry. We see so many abandoned projects, not because that the people that started are happy with it, it's because they run dry of finances. Some have borrowed money, some have exhausted what they have, and they can't do anything, so they leave it to be in that abandonment stage. Okay, and also we manage change. This is huge. Remember that you cannot stop change, but you must approve and document it. Change, like I discussed about when building the 20 classroom, you are decided to add the sports center. Yes, it's possible. Yes, you can actually still go back to that Lagos State or the build LABSCA or I think planning. What's the name of this agency that approves a building plan? You can tell them that you want to change. It will only cost you money, but there's a process you need to follow. Yes, that's how you manage it, and you document everything. Okay, these are not things that you do just once in a week. They are continuous habits. You have to do it from the beginning to the end of the project so that your project will stay healthy. Okay, let's look at the core mission of monitoring and controlling. Why do some major governments or national projects end up abandoned after billions have already been spent? Okay, and the truth is, most abandoned projects did not fail overnight. They failed because problems were not monitored, reported, or corrected early enough. The core mission of monitoring and controlling is to prevent projects from reaching or getting to that stage. That is the number one reason, the pivotal reason why we have this, to prevent us from getting to a stage where it becomes a colossal problem or total waste. And we can see here the track performance. Okay. And the truth is, you cannot control what you cannot measure. Here, this leads us to what we call the end value management, EVM, where you compare the planned value against the end value so that you can get your actual cost. So you know whether there's variance or not. So you can talk about variance tracking against the baseline. There's always a cost baseline based at the, I know this was created at the project plan level, the baseline, and you can actually forecast that, okay, this place that we are in the next 6 months, how will this trend continue? If we continue like this, will this affect our cost? Will this affect our schedule? That is what this helps you to do when you track performance. And there are so many tools and techniques. Probably we should just go to maybe Cloud AI and type tools and technique of monitoring, controlling, you know, so you can read up at your own convenience. And the truth is, we have what we call variance and root cause analysis. Once you monitor, it will help you to identify a problem. Once it identified, that does not resolve it. That controlling part that now comes to play. Okay, you spotted a variance. Okay, let's say schedule slip. Then the real work is figuring why is there a schedule slip? Is this a one-off? If it's a one-off, yes, you can decide to look the other way. Okay, you are good to go. But if it's not, then you need to look deeper. Is this just a symptom or is this a systemic issue? Does it speak to understaffing, which speaks directly to your resources? Does it speak to your scope, creep, or a cost estimate error? So if you skip this step, you might just only treat the symptom. You have not treated the root cause. So that is why we need to control our projects across the 7 performance domain. Okay, let me quickly move to it helps us to detect deviation early. Monitoring is valuable only if it's identify problem while they can still be corrected. A week delay might not be a problem, but once you do not treat that and it comes up again, it might extend and it might become a problem. Okay, however, if the same delay is ignored for several months, it can lead to escalating costs, contract disputes. For every contract, there's SLA that is signed. So you can't decide that a project for 3 months, you want to do it 6 months. Sometimes it is even stated in the SLA that if the delay is caused by you, you might end up paying or just a way to settle grievances. Then you might experience funding shortages and what have you. So that's why even in Nigeria, we have many national infrastructure projects that has become abandoned because they ignored the warning sign, such as slow progress, increasing costs, poor contractor performance, delay funding and what have you. Delay funding is very particular, because of bureaucracy of government. The file has to move from one table to another, and we know our economy. The price today is not the price next week. So we need to really pay close attention and monitor our project very well, and also inform stakeholders. Project managers must provide stakeholders with accurate, evidence-based information rather than optimistic assumptions. Okay, let me see if I can share something with you. Can you see this, please? Okay, what can you see on the screen? Hello?
Commission of M&C. Track performance, detective deviation early, inform stakeholders.
Okay, I'm sharing something else. Okay, are you seeing a weekly status report?
No.
No, sir.
Okay, just a moment, please.
Commission.
Stop sharing and reshare.
Okay, just a moment. Let me do that. Can you see this?
Yes,
Yes,
I can
sir.
see.
Weekly status report.
Yes,
I can
yes.
see.
Okay,
Yes.
this is one of my status reports. I had to remove the name of the client. It's a bank. So you have to inform your stakeholder and you have to be honest. You have to be truthful because they are the one that gave you the job. And you cannot say because the project is you are the project manager, you wait till end of the month. Ideally, you should do a weekly status report so that at the end of the month it won't become a bulk work for you to cover. This is sometime in May. And if you look at initiative status summary, I stated the work packages, the ISMS, BCMS, SMS, TOGAF, and all that, the current phase, the next milestone, the overall status. You can see on track, on track, on track. If you are not on track, you put it there and you let it be the color. We have the rag, red, amber, and green. You use red so that they will know. You have to be honest. So if you need to call their attention that okay, there's a delay somewhere, please, we might need additional fund. We might need okay, probably the resources your people that you gave us to work with, they are not complying, they are not giving. So at that point, they can actually resolve. But if you are packaging and patching, it will become a problem at the long run. So that is why you need to inform your stakeholder and let them know the accurate state of the project. And this will lead to evidence-based, you know, and it will help them to make informed decision. Like now that you've told them they saw red, 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 and they need to go back to the governance team to let them know that they need additional fund. It is this that they will use. But if you are not giving them accurate information, you are shooting yourself in the leg. I hope we will understand this. Okay, please, I want to put this down so I can go back to the slide. Okay, let me show one more, please. Just a moment. Let me just share one more, please. Let me share one more, please. A moment. A moment, please. A moment, please. Let's see what you. Yeah. Oh, I'm unable to do that. Let me just continue. I wanted to show a NAT chart for another client. Let me go back to the issue. Okay. Can you see my screen now, please? Can you see my screen? Can anyone see my screen, please? Okay,
Yes, I'm
okay.
seeing it.
Okay, sorry for the delay, please. I was unable to display the NAT chart. Okay, because of time, let me move to why do we monitor and control? Have you, okay, on personal level, we do personal projects too. Have you ever worked on any assignments or a personal goal that started so well but didn't go according to plan? Have you? And if you have, please, can you just share what were the constraints that you experienced or the reason why you were unable to complete that project? Can anyone share, please? I want this to be interactive. Anyone? Okay, I think I'm on my own. Okay.
You are not on your own, sir.
I need someone to just share. You know, we have personal projects. Even buying a car is a project. Personally, yes, I experienced
Okay,
something.
can I give my experience?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
It's not a good one, sha, but it's funny. I
Resilience,
started
sir.
the first set of this transformation college, but I didn't finish.
Why, sir?
And it was painful. That's why I said after 3 years, I think that was 2023. That's why I said I will start. Because then there were so many things on my table. I paid the fee, but I didn't finish. I think after the second week, something else took my attention. I didn't follow up. So I said, this one, I must follow up. I must meet every target. I must meet every assignment. And that's how I had to come back for a rematch.
That's good, sir. That's good. Okay. Any other one, or we just proceed? Okay. Even with careful planning and unexpected events such as delay, changing requirements, resource shortages, or rising costs can affect progress. In fact, there are internal and external forces that can actually affect your project. So there are some that is way beyond your control. But the truth is, there's always a way to go about it. Because it's beyond your control does not mean you should fold your hand. This is why project managers continuously will need to monitor and control projects to identify problems early and to take corrective action before they become a major issue or before it snowballs to something that is beyond you. Okay. And also to catch deviations early. We need to helps us to identify small problems before they become large ones. I think I've talked about this before. You know, as a student, probably when you are writing a project, you need to do a writing of 30-page research, and it's due in 4 weeks. So in 4 weeks, you need to divide yourself. Probably first week, you know that, okay, you need to do like maybe 8 to 10 page. And after the first week, you realize that you've done just 5 pages. If you check the progress and you realize that if you continue at that pace, you will never meet up, then that is when the corrective, part now comes to play. You've identified that, okay, if I continue with this five times four, That's 20, and I need to do 30 page. So you need to speed up, even if you need to burn candles, even if you need to go extra mile. You cannot compare to those that like the last minute preparation, 5, then a day or 2 days to submit. You now start rushing helter skelter. There's no way that the outcome of that research paper will not be faulty or will not be excellent. It might actually be good. Some people are actually good when it comes to the last minute, but it might not be, what you actually intend that will fetch you recommendation. At the end of the day, the reason why we carry out all these projects is for us to get recommendation, promotion, connection, relationship, with better clients and all that. So it also helps us to protect timeline. Monitoring ensures that your project schedules remain realistic and achievable. Identifying schedule slippage and adjusting resources, or prioritizing it, keep your project moving towards its planned completion date. Yes. And lastly, it helps you to guide your budget. What is a project when you have little or no budget or cost to run it? It becomes a problem. Project must also stay within approved budgets. Yes, you might feel, okay, this is good, let's do it, but it must work with your budget. You cannot shoot your budget. You cannot overshoot your budget. So think about managing a monthly personal budget. If you review your spending each week, you can reduce unnecessary expenses. In fact, this applies to us personally. Every week, we should have an amount that we've marked somewhere that this is what we'll spend. But in today's Nigeria, it's funny. Even the bus, you enter 500 in the morning, in the afternoon, it might be something else. In the past 6 months, only God knows how many times that they've changed the amount that we buy fuel. So, but even at that, there's always a way around it. Okay, so it helps us to guide our budgets. And the key concept here, monitoring is a process of measuring performance and comparing actual results with the project plan, while controlling is taking corrective action when differences are identified to keep the project aligned with the objectives. Let's simply put, monitoring tells us what is happening, while controlling determines what actions should be taken. Okay, please, on your own, I would like you, if you can do that now, I will not mind. Just use any AI tool of your choice, but personally, I use Cloud AI to check tools to control deviations in projects. You can do that as we are on the call. It's allowed. It's actually allowed. Okay. Has anybody checked? Has anybody checked? What can you see? Are you checking? Okay. Nobody's responding. All right. Let's move on.
Yes.
Okay. What can you see, please, after applying that prompt?
Variance analysis and value management, Gantt chart,
Okay.
critical path method, risk register, change
Okay.
control process, key performance
Okay.
indicators, project status reports and dashboard, root
Wow.
cause analysis,
Okay.
corrective and preventive actions, CAPA.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, man. I think we discussed some of these, because of the time limit, we cannot drill down. If not, we are supposed to go one after the other, but I know I touched one or two, but at your own convenience, you can actually go through it. It will educate you and enlighten you more. Okay, let's look at the next slide. Because of the what is the cost of ignoring monitoring and controlling? What is the cost? We can see what is here. Timeline inflation, hidden budget visibility, aimless execution. So why are you now embarking on a project? And at the end of the day, your reputation is at stake. Some people's money is at stake, and so many other things, will be at stake. So when we look at small changes and extra requests that pile up, causing project timeline to stretch far beyond the original plan, a project is expected to take 3 months can easily end up taking 6 months or more. Yes, personally, I have a project that should actually have ended like some months back. But at one point or the other, the client, because of their busy schedule, they requested that we should postpone the internal audit at one point. Yes, it was documented, it was shared. So they cannot come back to tackle my company that, okay, according to the SLA, so date was when you're supposed to finish. It is documented. The request was sent from them. Okay, even after that, another period, they decided to, ask for a time to postpone. So, you need to, because you set 4 weeks doesn't mean that that 4 weeks has to be 4 weeks. There's always deviation, but you can manage it in a way that both parties will be happy and it will not affect the project's health in any way. It won't. Okay, that is what this is saying. And without regular tracking, costs can spiral out of control, and budget issue may only become visible when money has already been spent. And this applies to most of our abandoned national infrastructure. We have so many. In fact, we can start listing. Is it NNPC? Is it Ajaokuta? We have so many, and it's a problem. Also, teams can become busy with their day-to-day tasks, but gradually lose sight of the project goals. You have a building project. Okay, you called your workers to come today. The next month they are not on site because there is no money. When you call them next time, they might just look at you like, "Oga, please, we are busy somewhere. We have some busy clients." You know, so it can actually affect the resources that you might also need to use, and that's the major obstacle that will threaten the project success. So the key lesson is simple: projects rarely fail because they are too ambitious. They fail because no one is consistently monitoring progress, controlling changes, taking corrective action when needed. Monitoring and control keeps project on track, on budget, and above all, it aligns with the project objectives. Every project has objectives. So you need to make sure that it aligns at every time. Okay. This takes us to the other segments, which is closing. We've discussed monitoring and controlling. So this part two is actually a major one, closing a project. Closing a project is not just crossing the finish line, or stopping because you are tired. It is a formal structured process where all work is verified, contracts are fulfilled, and the final product is officially handed over to the client. That is when you can say that, yes, I have finished a project. You know, saying the key word there is contracts are fulfilled and the final product is officially handed over to the client. Officially. Okay. I think we should hold that. We'll still come back to that. Okay. We can see this in PM book. Closing, a moment, please. Closing is a formal mandatory part of project governance, yet it is the most key step in the corporate world. Let's be clear on the difference. Closing is not walking away because the team is exhausted or moving to the next project without writing anything down. There needs to be a formal close out report and duly acknowledged and signed by the other party that truly, yes, you've met all milestones or deliverables, and we can actually attest to this. Then it is signed off. That is when you can say that you have finished the project. So closing is a structural confirmation that value you promised was actually delivered, resources are freed up, and lessons learned are documented. Yes, you need to have a risk register. Just imagine you are into a building, you are into construction and all that. If you don't document, and you probably did a massive building construction for this person, and following year you have something similar, and you start to crack your ear when we did this. This is how did we go about it? But where if you document it, you can easily go back and check. This is how we went about it at this point. At this point, it will make your work easy and just straightforward. That is why it's good to document. And also for any risk that you experience, or the mitigation and all that, you should note everything down, so that even if you are not there tomorrow and another person occupies that your position, they can actually go. That's why it's called a system. They can actually go and check, okay, my company has done this thing. When they got to this part, this is how they cross. Okay, that is the purpose of documenting. During the this project, Doing this right project, it protects organizational knowledge. When you document, it helps you to protect the organization knowledge, so that the next project, just like what I just explained, so that the next project is even easier. Okay, these are the checklists for closing a project. A formal approval where it is duly signed from the sponsor, that is the governance team, and the customer. You verify all work have been completed, okay, and you keep documents all. For the documentation is key. It's very, very key. Just imagine that you finished a building construction and you do not properly hand over to the person. Handing over even includes some of the manual of the water heater, manual of the kitchen equipment. You have to hand over properly, not just the key of the house. And the person has to acknowledge, and you see the satisfaction that this person is fulfilled. Then easily person can call you for another job. Okay, let's talk about this. Why do we place so much emphasis on this? Three reasons. It prevents risk. Formal sign-off eliminates legal confusion and long-term organizational liability. If you don't sign off, a client can tell you that you did not finish his job properly. How do you want to prove? You don't have a documented evidence. Gave you a software project, and after the whole thing, you just moved on. You did not close. He can even tell you that he won't pay, because I know they sometimes they don't pay complete. They pay in phases per milestone. They can tell you that they are not paying because you have not formally handed over, or there is no sign of documents, and this could lead to legal confusion, and all can actually affect your organization. Okay. Also, it realizes benefits. It ensures that the client actually knows how to use what you've built, unlocking the real value of your work. Like you did a software, you need to do a UAT pilot phase, before you've properly hand over. They need to understand what you've done. And even at that, you have to train them, and you have to give them manual, so that when you are not there, they can actually do it themselves. Some people, they will not want to, so that they will keep calling them back. No, that you have to close your project properly. Hand over everything that you need to hand over. That's the value that you are giving. Don't forget, it is value that you are giving. And also, lastly, it protects your own credibility. Finishing with a clean, well documented close builds your personal reputation. You end up being a premium brand, and you'll be trustworthy as a project manager too. Most of these big names that we hear is because they do what is right. Doing what is right is just doing what is right. It's so simple. Okay, is there any addition or subtraction so far? I need a feedback. Hello, hello.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, yes. Where there is a language barrier, imagine engaging Chinese. You know, there's
Okay.
always difficulty in the SLA. In you trying to convert, they always insist, leave, no, let if you do this, it will change this. While you also know that in English, is and was can mean a different thing. So
True.
how do you track such, they always insist on bringing their things from China. So how do we you now embed in do you embed in the SLA that all things brought must be interpreted in English, or how, so that at the point of handing over you don't take an equipment that you cannot handle until you call them?
Okay, that's noted, sir. So yes, you have to, SLA is you and the other party both agreeing. They can state what they want. It is they are the one giving you the job, and also it is left for you to. We have people that are studying Mandarin languages here in Nigeria. You can employ them for the purpose ad hoc for the purpose of that project to help you interpret, so that nothing is hidden in the SLA. It only involves you spending little extra, but it still pays off than affecting the overall project success. Do you get, sir? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm
Did I
fine.
did I did I are you okay with that response, sir?
Yes, yes. At least so you must broaden the scope of the stakeholders to be involved. Uh,
Yes.
So just like a road construction, some people can
Yes, sir.
omit road managers and say they don't matter, or you can omit getting federal road safety involved. At the end of the day, you will have problems, people complaining of work you are doing to serve the public, and they are complaining that there is a lot of traffic. But I can see
Yes,
where
sir.
big companies involved, they get those people. Maybe I think it's just not trying to share your money. You would think that those people are not part of the project, but I
That's the
think they
problem,
are
sir.
under this
Yeah. So
explanation.
okay. That speaks, we talked about the seven performance domain, and there's one part, the
Mm.
resources, and there's also another part, stakeholders. Like the road construction that you
Yeah.
just talked about. So there are so many
Mm.
stakeholders, but a very constrained thinking person will just tell you, it's just me and the company. Even
Mm.
the host community where the road will pass, they are your
Yes.
stakeholder. They can
Yes.
sabotage your efforts if you don't carry them along through
Yeah.
protest, through spoiling things, through just making the whole process very unmanageable. Your host, like you said, road safety, they are, since it's road, they are your stakeholder. Your host community is stakeholder. In fact, the good, the bad guys, they are all your stakeholders. Just to make sure that everything goes rightly. But some people, because they don't want to spend money, they cut corners. It might end up becoming a problem for them. Okay, I think you're spot on, sir. Okay, what do we see? I think there's still a slide to cover. Just a moment, please. Okay. Wow. Okay. I think this still speaks to all that we've said so far. Let's look at this last slide. The continuous loop. As we wrap up our framework today, we look at how these two pieces live together. They form a continuous loop of project health. Monitoring and controlling runs parallel to everything, keeping you safe all through, let's say, the highway. Then closing acts as a final gate that confirms your success, captures your lessons, and lets your team celebrate the hard earned wins. Okay, that is the interaction. You can see the interaction between monitoring and controlling and closing. Okay, that is the continuous loop. All right. Your takeaway checklist as workouts of year today is simple. Start or stay alert by monitoring continuously, control changes by ensuring every pivot is approved, every stage is approved, and close with confidence. Great project managers are not just great starters, they are master finishers. Okay, I think I've been able to wrap this up. Do we have questions? Do you have observations? Do you have additions? Do you have subtractions? Let me know, please. Hello. I can see that we have over 60 people on this call. Okay, please can other people contribute to what has been your take home from what we've been talking about? What can you say that you've learned during this project management session? Your take home? Please share your thoughts, please.
Well,
Hope I'm not alone.
you're not.
Ah,
You're not.
I'm
Good
lonely at
afternoon.
the bottom. Oh.
Can you hear me?
You are not alone.
I can hear you. I can hear you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. It's been a great session. Actually, if some persons are not asking, it doesn't mean that they are not following, right?
I
And
get, sir. I get.
you have actually revalidated some of the things that some of us uh, are aware of, like when you mentioned the starting a project from the beginning at the end of the day, it either turns out to be something else or doesn't continue. Some of
Yes,
us
sir.
have had that experience in the past. It could be environmental factors, right?
Yes, sir.
If a project could be weather dependent and you
True.
unfortunately had to start it without knowing the impact of the weather
True.
when doing it, and then you're beginning and then the rain starts and it's back to back, and you had no option than to suspend until the dry season sets in. That has happened to me before.
Yes, sir.
Or you have cost constraints, sorry, which could either mean a total stop or a reduction in the scope that the project was supposed to be, just to ensure that it accommodates the budget, the reality of the budget on ground. So thank you so much. It's been a wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Any other contribution? What have we learned today? Our take home. Okay, you can also send it in the chat box. What have we learned today? Let's rub minds.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you for your lecture presentation.
You're welcome, sir.
Very informative and insightful.
Thank you, sir.
At least what I learned today is that what you start at the beginning, that we should make sure we try as much as possible to finish it up.
Yes, sir.
I will still use myself as an example that I was one of the first sets that registered in 2023 in Transformation College.
Well done,
I
sir.
paid, I attended the lecture twice, but later I didn't finish up. I didn't collect the certificate. So that is the reason why I re-register again. I've registered twice, but I did not collect certificate. But this time I will make sure I collect the certificate because this is
Yes.
my area. I'm studying project management. So that is the reason why I have the intention to make sure I finish up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your resilience. Sir, you have to collect it this time. Thank, thank
So
you.
those are
Thank
here.
you.
You can leave it. Hello. So good
Hello.
afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, sir, for this insightful session.
Good afternoon.
Basically, I've learned in a nutshell that starting a project is not just about it, but rather you need to monitor and control to ensure that you're able to get through to the end. Because while monitoring and controlling, you are able to identify those issues that could ultimately cause a halt in that project. So, but when you monitor and you control, those gaps can quickly be identified, and remedial actions can be taken promptly, and then the project can actually see the light of the day. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, ma. That is appreciated, ma. Okay. I think, is there any other person to share? But really, in our personal lives, this actually
Yeah.
is so applicable in our personal lives. Wanting to buy a phone, going to the store, seeing the phone in January as 600,000, and you look at your income, okay, every month I'll be saving, okay, you have a 3 months plan to buy a 600,000, okay, I'm going to save maybe 200, okay, and you notice the mid, after second year, you went to the second month, you went to the store, it's now 650, okay, automatically because you monitored, you know that 200 will not buy, you need to add maybe an additional 20 or 30,000 so that you can achieve, purchase of that phone. That is monitoring and controlling. You going to check again and you coming back adding to the 200 is corrective action. So these are things we do in our personal life daily. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Okay. Hello.
I can hear
Hello.
you, sir. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. I'm trying to look and approaching it from the origin. I think the use of pestle here will be much more applicable to guard against some of the things one is expected to encounter
True.
within the location where the project is being cited.
Yes.
From this lecture, I could understand pestle comes before sword. If I'm
Yes.
right, please
Yes.
correct me. So I think the emphasis always, I think, in my own opinion, emphasis should always be that we should apply pestle as a tool first. Then we get
Yes.
into running a project as well. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you so much for bringing Pesu into this. You are very spot on, sir. Pesu talks about external, forces that can affect, that can drive change into our projects. In fact, as big as policy, government policy, it could actually affect a project, political instability, and what have you. So these are things that are foreign to you that you cannot control. But there, like I said, there are ways to go about it through change management. Okay. Thank you very much for bringing that, Mr. Bailey. Appreciate. Any other addition?
Okay, sir. Sorry, before you go, sir, I just wanted to ask if you can maybe on the chat, you could just drop some useful tools for us so we can at least lay hands on them and work with them. That will take care of project process, the whole cycle from initiation and all of that. Thank you.
Uh, yeah, there is a software called project management. You can look into that. Yeah. Okay.
All
And
right,
also,
so
if
thank you
you
so
like,
much.
okay, hold on. Let me just quickly answer, please. I thought we should check cloud AI, the tools and technique. It will show you the tools that you can actually use. You get a comprehensive tools that you can use, ma. Hope I've answered your question, Madam Adenike.
Yes, you have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, ma. I think my time is up. It's been a wonderful time. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate. I'm handing over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Lutayo. Please let's appreciate Mr. Lutayo in the chat box. Let's all appreciate Mr. Lutayo in the chat box. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was the last session of today's class. The materials, the recording, and also the assessment will be posted subsequently on the WhatsApp group chat. So please let's endeavor to take our assessments as early as possible. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. We'll see you again next week, same time.
All right. Please, in addition, remember to pay your registration fee and send in your receipts. Thank you so much.
So please, those that missed out the assessment for last week, can we still have an opportunity to do that this week?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Oh,
Please,
thank you.
now, the